Oh, Suki now. Hell yeah, I know my dogs are watching, and if you ain't, you will be. And if you are watching and you ain't my dog yet, you will be, because Mom's sweet, and I'm going to help you get busy living. Thanks for joining us once again on the Get Busy Living podcast, where we're going on one epic adventure every single month for the next 55 months. We're going to capture it all right here. Tonight, it's about doing some soul searching, y'all, to help you figure out what makes you tick. But first, since nothing is worth having if it ain't worth sharing, please help me welcome my fabulous co-pilot on this journey, an entrepreneur out of Los Angeles, the star and author, I guess a star is better than author, right? Of unblawyourself.com. One of my all-time favorite humans, the dazzling Diana D. Rex Eckstein.
Thank you once again. What people might not know is that we just did that to an audience of no one and then restarted it.
No, I think they know. That's the first time we ever done that. Hey, we learn something every single week. We learn something new, right?
It is always a learning opportunity around here. And you know what? That's what this episode is about. It's a learning opportunity to get to know yourself better. Maybe you've never really had the chance to do that. Maybe you didn't know how. Maybe you haven't had the time. But tonight is the night.
Well, I think that we're at least going to pick your brain a little bit and get you to think a little bit. And, we're only going to be able to do that if you guys are willing to jump in these comments and participate with us so that we know you're there and that you know that we care about you being here. Because really, this isn't anything without you guys. So by all means, let us know you're in the comments. Raise your hand. Chime in. We got 3 questions coming at you. Each time we ask a question, we're going to want you guys to let us know how you feel about it. Because, me and D-Rex, we vibe off each other, and like we spend so much time talking to each other and like just picking each other's brains and then wanting to share it with you. And that's what gives us the confidence and the ego from what we talked about last week to be able to come on here, is because we enlighten each other so much, and it's based on getting feedback from each other. So that's why we want feedback from you guys.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about as long as you participate. And hey, do you want to go say hi to some of these people that are here already?
Hell yeah. What's up, girl? Hey, Tasha Turner's in the house. Hi, Lori. Thanks for coming back. Hey, I got some Schaefer to share this week as well. Ray's in the house. Ray, thanks for everything you're doing for us, bro. Ray's a good example of another person putting their hand in the pile and offering some of their talents and networking and connections and opportunities. So we appreciate you there, brother. Leaf is in the house all the way from Hawaii. Hell nice. Yeah. Thanks for showing up, Leaf. Good to see you, brother. Hey, all bullshit aside though, D-Rex, this soul searching that I've been doing since we talked about this episode this week it's been worth it. Just to ponder has been worth it for me, because it's had me thinking a lot about me, and really, that's, I think, what I enjoy so much about our conversations, because you challenge me and push me to think outside the box, and I appreciate you for that.
Oh, well, I don't know if I'm doing that on purpose, but even if it happens by accident, I'm happy to provide that for you. But I always think it's a good idea to always be thinking about yourself and what motivates you, what triggers you, what you don't like. This is all really good stuff to know about yourself. And sometimes people just don't take the time to really think about it. I'm going to be popping in and out of this broadcast because sometimes I need to cough or blow my nose. So I just want to let you know if I disappear. That's where I am.
D-Rex, if you hawk a loogie on your camera lens, that would be priceless.
No.
Oh, man, come on, please. Dang, she hated it that much. It's okay.
No, I got my cup of tea here. Okay.
Oh man, so seriously, 3 crucial questions, y'all, and so please, by all means, even whether it's somebody I know, many of you, we talk to on a regular basis. Many of you we only see in the comments, and many of you we've never seen before. So let us know you're there, and as we pose these questions, by all means, please get in the comments. let us know your thoughts, but also, communicate with each other, because we hope that down the road, as this thing gets bigger and we get better at it and we do it more often and the word gets out and that kind of stuff, that we want to build a community here of people that are all getting busy living together. That's why we're doing one epic adventure every single month. Each of those is going to be an opportunity for you guys to get out there with us. You guys know I owe you some hugs. So, this is a part of a big picture. This podcast is just our way of communicating with the audience what the big picture is, and the big picture is based on really what your wishes and desires are. I mean, if I didn't have people pulling me in directions, I wouldn't know where to go on these epic adventures. We're speaking of which, next month, man, couple weeks. Oh, I'm so excited about this one. So
wait a second. Wait, are we talking about you just don't use those enough? Yes,
I know. That's the truth. So next week, month 8, the Project 55 is going to be back in Destin, Florida. We are there for month 3 to give thanks. But we're coming back because this month's a special month, man. This is a month where a lot of my closest friends that I developed over my time when I lived in the Panhandle of Florida, this is like an annual tradition for us to go canoeing down the beautiful rivers of Blackwater River of the Panhandle of Florida. So what's unique about that area is they've got these coastal sand dunes and coastal dune lakes, and the way that the water from the Mississippi Delta and that area up there flow down into the Panhandle of Florida, they carve out these really awesome rivers that have white sand beaches around every turn. So if you go down the Blackwater, like every time you go around a corner, not every time, but regularly, there's these beautiful white sand beaches there. So what we've been doing, we did for like 15 years while I lived in Florida, is we would once a year, at least, believe me, I've been down there. There's been times I've gone down like 6 times in one year, just because I love it so much. But once a year, in April, we would all get together and float down the river together. And it's gotten so big where at one point we ran them out of canoes. We had so many people out there that had to get backup canoes from other places. So I'll be able to hammer out the details officially as of April 1st, but I don't see anything that leads me to believe that we're not going to be able to pull it off. I've been, kind of in long distance contact with them. But once I get it hammered out on the 1st of April, so in a couple of days, then I'll be able to, distribute online some more event details. But anybody that's within striking distance of the Panhandle of Florida, I highly recommend you get on this one. This is going to be one of the best ones. I mean, I haven't gotten my finger on the pulse as far as getting feedback from who all is going to be there, but I know it's always been really popular, so I have no doubt that it's going to blow up this month.
Well, that's super exciting. I mean, the fact that you can get back on the river after this injury and after so long and after this huge adventure that you've had, that is the real homecoming. I know that you feel like the last time you were there was a homecoming, but this is like getting back to what you enjoy there with your friends from so long ago. That's super exciting. Absolutely.
There was times when the last trip we had was in 2014. 2015. And we actually, on the last 2 trips, both days when I was on my way to the river that morning, I got phone calls on the way where people asking me about the business. Like if I wanted to sell the business. And they were so similar and awkward that leads me to believe that it was the same person or the same reason I got these calls. But I was like, what business? I'm not understanding what you're talking about. I don't own the business. I'm just going up there to rent canoes. And they're like, oh, you don't have like a party planning thing. This isn't like a major event. And I was like, well, it's a major event to me. It's a lot of my favorite people going up there. But no, man, it's like I don't get paid for this, and nobody pays for. We go up there and we rent the canoe, and then for the service of renting us the canoe, they take us up the river and they drop us off, But it was so fun that it just grew in popularity. People became like, that was one thing that we look forward to every year. And so I've heard since I took off and left Florida that the people that have done the inviting for our generation, if you will, have all grown up and settled down. And so it's it's not nearly as festive as it used to be, but hopefully, me coming back, I know I've gotten a lot of people that I saw when we were there in November that are looking forward to this. So, it's not about the number of people. It's not the quantity, right? It's about the people that I already know that are going to be there, because you're right. It's not an easy task to get me into a canoe and floating down the river safely. In fact, Truman from High Country Adaptive Sports, you guys are familiar with them. They've been helping us with our adaptive stuff all along. I'm going to go meet up with Truman next weekend, and he's going to help Brother Doug and I, figure out what is going to be the safest ways of getting in and out of the canoe and that type of thing. So, luckily,
Truman is, to me, he's just like an angel on earth, that guy.
I agree completely, man. I remember when I first met him and Carly, she's his co-pilot, or they're co-pilots, and they're both like that, man. They've just like you feel that they're like putting their soul out there every single time, and which kind of is a little segue into their role in the community is a role that I didn't know existed until I became disabled, and that's leads me to our first of 3 crucial questions that we want you guys to ponder. So, playa. The games.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, what is going on here? What are these words all about?
They're a little cryptic to D-Rex too, just to have a little fun with it. But this is about pondering the question: when you were a child, when it was your turn to choose what game you play, what games did you choose, and why is this significant to our psyche, D-Rex?
Oh, I think that, well, I'm gonna go back a little bit further in this story and say that when you have a kid and you see them go through like kindergarten and you see all these other kindergartners, I realized that us kids come out the way we come out. Everybody thinks, oh, that person must be a great or a horrible parent because their kid is great or horrible. But no, these kids come out like they come out. And I swear to God, I saw some kids in my son's kindergarten. I was like, that kid's going to jail. That one's going to be the president. Like, you could see this stuff, right? And also, I work with a lot of kids, and you can see some really great parenting going on, and the kids just nuts. And you can see, and the other kids in the family aren't. Like, people come out how they come out. So that was me going way back. But the fact that I have seen for myself that people come out the way they come out, that by the time you're 7 or 8, when your brain really starts to wake up. And I do know this from years of being a piano teacher. Like, I refuse to teach kids younger than 7 most times, because that's when their brains really start to wake up. They become aware of themselves. Their brain changes. They're able to start reading and recognizing letters and putting these things together. You change. You physically change around 7 or 8, 6, 7, 8. And I think that because you don't have a job at that point, you get to do what you want during your free time. And free time is less these days because screen time robs us of that. I'm talking about that free time where you're bored. And boredom is the greatest gift you can give your kid. So suppose you're bored, you're 7 years old. What do you put together to entertain yourself? Because obviously you're going to choose something that you really want to do. You're going to work at it like it's a job, because that's what humans do. And for me, honestly, I would get out my tape recorder and I would create shows like this. And it's very strange that
Really?
here I am,
Wow.
today. And that's actually what we're trying to ask you who are in the comment box right now. I'm so glad to see so many people here. I want you to ask yourself that when you were 6, 7, or 8, what sorts of games and activities did you create during your downtime? And we would also like to know if that has anything to do with what you like to do today, or what you actually do for work today, or your free time.
So gotta say what up to Bobby Busy Burns, and Chester is in the house. And what up? Pete Mitchell's in the house today. We got some Erie folks in the house. Love to see that. Hey, Sam, good to see you in the house also. Rochelle, hello, girl. Hey, we got all kinds of folks from back in the day coming in. Yeah. So look, the reason that we pondered this, because we're talking about getting busy living, and this is significant because, getting busy living is different to different people. And the sooner that you are in harmony with the things that make you tick, we're so programmed to just become an employee and that we have to, like, our careers define us as humans. And so there's so much anxiety and so much disconnect out there, and people are struggling to be happy because they're not really doing with the things that make them happy. They chose a job because they chose money usually, and then something that they thought would be, simple that they were interested in. But so rarely do we know what we're truly interested in, or what is going to be something we're truly passionate about when we're adults. So in this mission to figure out how to maximize everybody's opportunity to get busy living, we want you to know or spend time thinking about what it is about you that makes you tick. And one way to kind of corner that, because it's not clear to everyone, and it's not always the same. It changes as you grow, right? But one way to figure out what is kind of a fundamental thing for you is to think about how you chose to spend your time when you were a kid. And it was up to you to be creative about curing your own boredom, right? So D-Rex, what was one of the things that you would do? You would make little shows.
I'd make little news shows and commercials, and I'd put music to it. I'd bring out my keyboard and I'd play music to it. And I still have these recordings somewhere. And you know how long ago it was, because my news shows would often revolve around like Gorbachev.
What? The guy with the moon tattoo on his head?
It was not a moon tattoo.
Looked like the moon.
Hey, and you know what? What Lori says here is exactly the sort of thing we're looking for you to say in the comment box. We want to hear this from you guys. She said, all my Barbies were bald and I've been doing hair for 22 years. And I definitely know this kind of girl, the kind of girl that cuts all of her Barbies' hair, and all of her Barbies look like trash.
Lori, were you cutting their hair? Is that why they were bald? Because you just couldn't resist? You had to keep cutting?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, you know what I want to know from Lori? Did you have one of those full-sized Barbie heads that you could, like, that is for someone who loves to cut their Barbie's hair. You want that full-sized Barbie head. You want the real experience.
Man.
Okay. You know what? Ray said something too here. Here you go. I played insurance sales.
He said, I was always the top salesman.
Well, was anybody else playing with you, Ray? What other kid could you get to play insurance salesman with you?
Well, wow. Yeah. So who would even think about insurance sales? Like, I was thinking about hot dog salesmen. Like, back then, all I cared about was getting a hot dog out of a hot dog cart on station.
I want to hear more about this, Ray. Are you an insurance salesman today? Is this something that you would enjoy?
I'll tell you what, insurance has made a lot of people wealthy. There's more money from selling insurance than there is about anything. Next, maybe boats.
He was the only salesman, so that's why he was the top. But
were you your best client? Did you use your own product?
Who were you selling to? We need to have him on. I have lots of questions.
No. All right.
Oh my
Hold
gosh.
on. Let me see if
Check this out.
Ray.
A fake phone and a notepad. Oh my gosh. Now that is fascinating to me. Like, I don't know. I think it's very strange for me to be so into my tape recorder, but I think it's a little more unique to play insurance salesman.
So I was actually looking at, so what we like to do, our favorite thing to do in my neighborhood over on East 14th Street, man, is that I lived right across the street from a factory that made naval ship parts. Over by 12th and East Avenue, there's that bridge that goes on 12th Street that goes under the tracks.
Yeah.
Right next to that, there was a huge baseball park, and then there's a huge factory, and they would always park their trains right next to my house. So me and my friends were always climbing on trains. I mean, we would make little clubhouses out of the trains. Oh, sick now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage. My man, Ray Ferrito, is in the house. Ray, you got to tell us about this, brother. What is up with this?
I want to play Office.
Okay,
Well,
brother, we need you to speak
your
into
phone,
the mic. It's
yeah,
really
closer
quiet.
to
We
your
can't
mic.
hear your voice.
But who showed you what it was to be an insurance salesman?
I don't know. I found some paperwork one day in the garbage.
Oh my god!
What?
So I
Found
the
paperwork.
Yeah, someone's old receipts or something in the garbage.
Ray, put your phone by your mouth because your microphone is not near your mouth. We can hear more
old
hall.
receipts. Hold on, I gotta get to an area that I cannot echo.
So this is kind of funny because I mean you find lots of things as a kid, right? But never was I inspired by a receipt. That's really interesting.
Yeah, well, we're gonna give Ray a second to get this sound situation clearer, and then we'll bring him back on because I definitely want to know more about that. No, seriously though, think about that. What do you do when you want to cure your own boredom? And imagine how impactful that could be if you can identify that for yourself today. How many of us are really truly doing something that we love? And if you want to know if you truly love it, would you do it if you weren't getting paid for it? Now, don't get me wrong. That is going to lead to some more of our questions, but that's a way to consider whether or not you're truly passionate and truly in love with it. So let's see if we can get Ray back on here. Ray, how's your sound? Talk to us, buddy.
Can you hear me now?
No, I think your microphone is in your pocket. Put your phone by your face.
Yeah, your microphone is very far away. Whatever is working as your microphone right now.
Can you hear me now?
Not really.
No.
Well,
sorry, bud. We're gonna have to try this again, but we'll do a sound check before next time.
yeah, I'm very interested in talking about.
Yeah, just go ahead, hit us in the comments. It doesn't do any good to have you if we can't hear you, buddy. So go ahead and hit us in the comments, man.
Yeah, go ahead and type to us. So there's another one here. I don't know Leaf Smith. You seem to, but
yeah, that's my guy.
Yeah, plays golf and baseball on Maui. That sounds pretty nice, but I didn't dream about that personally. He did, from his single wide trailer in Mississippi during the 80s.
So and today, imagine that teaching kids how to play baseball and helping people learn how to play golf for a living. I mean, some of us are doing such high stress jobs, and my man Leaf's over here just like playing games every day for a living. How good would that be? Yeah,
pretty amazing. I mean, sometimes I've had some really fun jobs. Sometimes I feel like I'm playing games for a living. Like for a long time, I was a songwriter. I was a professional songwriter and music producer. And that was very fun. And people might be like, well, why did you stop? Because I just do different things. I just do. But I feel like I've had a few jobs where it was like playing. And I didn't necessarily dream of doing those jobs when I was 7, but they ended up being very fun things that I didn't keep doing forever. And then I have this job now, which is actually really a dream come true. Truly, this is something that tickles me. I love talking to people. I love getting to the root of a story. I love putting these graphics together and putting this on every week and talking to everyone in the comments. This really is what I did when I was 7, and I'm so thrilled.
That really that just warms my heart to hear you say that. I've always just been trying to go hang out with friends, man. So this is up my alley too, in that, being able to invite my buddies to come and hang out with us like this once a week. And, it's less pressure than actually being in the room with me. I know I can be pretty overwhelming sometimes, but being able to kick it in the comments and like be able to press that mute button and turn my volume down, I'm sure my guys love that too. But seriously, this is, I never imagined myself being on camera or being, broadcasted anyway. I never was like, I'm going to be an actor or anything like that when I grew up. But I've always been very social and just liked being, around people. So that's how I would always spend my time, man. I was going down the street, knocking on doors, seeing who wanted to play.
And that it is truly what you do. You're a social creature. And that in itself is a talent And I'm sure there are jobs that would satisfy that need. And I do feel like maybe this is one of them. I just want to put up a couple more things from Ray because this is funny. He said, I sold to everyone. My biggest client was Waldemir. Oh,
Who didn't love Waldemir?
This explains the audio issue. My phone fell in water yesterday. Okay, well, we're gonna have to figure that out before we have you on. But I'm wondering what he was selling insurance to Waldemir. I wonder what was in that document. What sorts of things he was allowing to be insured and what was not allowed to be insured. What's considered an act of God at Waldemir.
Kids say the darndest things, don't they?
So here's one from Tasha. She was never bored because she was always playing teacher and students, and she was the teacher. That makes a lot of sense.
Hell yeah, that does. And speaking of what we're doing now, what we did back then, real quick, I just want to, before we get to the next question, I just want to remind you guys that this entire podcast, the mission of this is to perpetuate the nonprofit that we're working on. I have a debt to society that I owe. I promised everybody when I got injured that if they helped me out of that jam, that I would throw a huge party. And so my life's goal is to throw that party, and I wouldn't be able to do that if I hadn't been helped. So in the process of me trying to do that, I'm just trying to help as many people as I possibly can. And being that my life was saved by a fundraising campaign called the Help Swede Walk Again, I have turned that into a nonprofit organization. And the mission of the nonprofit is to help people the way that I've been helped. And I personally feel, through my obsessive amount of research, that stem cells are the best way to help society. So our nonprofit has a mission to help with the legislature for stem cells, help getting stem cells stigma removed, and help bringing them to the living rooms of people in America, and then help getting funded for the people that can actually use the stem cells. So by all means, guys, go to the hswa.org and check out the website there. You can hit the Help Swede Walk Again button there, and that will take you to an option where you can donate. You can get on a recurring donation list, or you can do one-time donations. But you'll see the website here has a little bit about my backstory and a couple different opportunities for you to donate. We also have available for reservation is the Life in the Year of Swedism's book. What that is we put together a collection of the things that I posted before when I was on this epic 55-month journey, or 54 months that I was on before. And so we've got that together and we're putting it out there, and just as an opportunity to give you guys something in exchange for the donations that you've been giving us. And so by all means, go there for $25 or more. You reserve a copy. Once we get 2,000 copies reserved, then we're going to go and ship the books. That 2,000 copies is going to pay for us to get somebody or to get somebody a stem cell treatment. And that's where my girl Lori comes in, and my man Schaefer. That also is going to afford us to ship the books. And then it's also going to afford us to pull a name out of the hat. In order for you to be on this list, you have to go subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we're going to pull a name from the subscribers and the people that have donated. And we're going to send those people on an all-expense, airfare included, 7-day, 6-night adventure in Alaska with the wolf himself, Scooty Wells. So you guys want to get on that list, get yourself a copy of the book, and then join our newsletter. We're going to start next month with once a month getting you updated onto what the Help Swede Walk Again is doing. All right. So going back to what this topic is, we got three crucial questions coming at you guys. And what we want to do is the question number 2 is roll your own die. So this is another little hidden quip. So D-Rex, the question that you posed about roles in society.
Oh, this is a question that my friend asked me, and I just kind of kept it rolling around in the back of my head. But she said, what would you do? What would be your role in society before technology? No, this is not like prehistoric. Like, we'd be living in communities, and there would be roles in these communities so that we could all eat and live well. Just think about maybe medieval times, maybe, or Native Americans in maybe like the 1600s. Okay. So I thought about that for quite a while. And what are some really basic jobs that I would truly enjoy? And I don't think I need to give away my answer quite yet, but that's the next question for you guys to think about. And Here's one that we didn't put up here, is that Rochelle said that she was always doing a tea party. And I wonder if now she still likes to provide food and drink for friends and family. Go ahead and answer that in the comments, Rochelle. So have you thought about this for yourself?
I have, since I was a wee little tot, I was not so much interested in being the king of the jungle. I thought tigers were so much cooler than lions, even though I appreciate nobility. I just didn't think that was the role for me. I didn't feel like I was going to be the one that wanted to be the leader, even though I've had leadership positions, throughout my life. I was more interested. So in feudal times, the king has a role, right? He's the guy that everybody trusts to be able to manage the people. That's where leaders come from, is being able to manage people. And so, but his role wasn't to go out and shake hands, and he wasn't necessarily a PR guy, but what he had was the jester. And the king's jester had, to me, the most interesting role in the community. So first you got to know how castles were built back in the day. So everybody knows about the window seat that the queen had. She had the most highly protected and most difficult room in the castle, because if you capture the queen, you win, right? So the queen was up in her window seat, and then from the queen's lair, they had a winding staircase that went down that, and then entered into a chamber in the center of the castle usually, and it had another winding staircase, and it wound all the way down to the bottom, where they would have this huge table, and around the table would be different people that held positions in the community. And so every single night, or depending on the obviously every castle is different, but the tradition was that they would invite people that were doing good jobs in the community, in the kingdom, and invite them to eat with the king. And so that was part of the incentive to be a good swordsmith, or be a good leathersmith, or be a good bricklayer, was to get to go meet the king, and then he would obviously perpetuate your trade. So the person that was responsible for being the PR guy, the person that was responsible for choosing who got to come to eat with the king, was the jester. The jester was the guy. He would be the one that was mingling with the community. He was the one that was out getting to know who was popular. He was the one that was out shaking the hands. And so if you did a good job, then the jester came to invite you, then you got invited back to the kingdom. And then the jester, once he had everybody in place and everybody was at their seats, then he would go up to the king's lair and grab the king, and then lead the king through his castle so that everybody could, he could say hello and give his thank you to all the people that were helping him. And then he got led down to his table. And then the jester would be the guy that would introduce the king to all the people, and then would lead the toast. And so what I have here is, I want to see if I can get this up here real quick. Is I actually have a little gift for you guys. So the Life in the Year of Swedisms book is going to have something like this on it, where you're going to be able to get an idea for the type of things that people, encouraged me to share when it got time for me to release this book. So I'm just going to pull this up here and see if I can. You guys see that there? Go ahead and put this up here. So this was something that I wrote in 2011. And this kind of answers that. Okay, this is one of the Swedisms that you'll find in the book. So it says, I'm going to find me a river and build a dam on it. Make me a lake with some nice land on it. Find some good people to lend me a hand, and create a place to escape from Uncle Sam. All we really need is enough sunshine and rain to grow enough crop to stop all the pain. The dam will generate the power we need to light the dark, and the trees will provide the wood to build our kids a park. On the mountainside is where I'll build our castle, and surround it with a fence to keep out all the hassle. One of us will be a shepherd to raise our livestock, and we'll need some volunteers to help steer the flock. Everyone will play their part in our community to do what needs done to make sure life is good for you and me. We'll teach our kids to take care of us in our maturity, and teach their kids to carry on the tradition of living in purity. I'd like to be the king, but I'm open to the thought of someone else being the guy that took over our plot. I'd love to be his jester and entertain our guests, and see to it that our nightly dinner was simply the best. I'd gather everyone around the king's table and share a virtuous lesson via joke or fable. And leading our toast of being thankful for our things, I'd end it with a hearty boast. Tonight we eat like kings. If you have a righteous soul and are willing to make a contribution, you're welcome to join me as I start a revolution. And this was back in 2011 that I posted that.
Wow, that's interesting how that ties into today.
I honestly just thought about that when I was deciding to tell you the story of the jester's role. And so if you couldn't tell, I was kind of like trying to search and pull it up while telling the story. So,
there's always a million things to do while we're doing this. So I didn't know what you were doing, but wow, that's crazy. And I totally could see that. And when you said that you would want to be the jester, I remembered that video of you doing karaoke. You were doing that song Strokin'. I can imagine you performing something like that.
Oh man, I've had that. It comes up every year and it's always good for a laugh. And there's several people that were around that night when I did that, and people from different like circles of friends. I don't know what was going on that day, where there were so many different people from different different areas of town. But man, a lot of people witnessed that. That was pretty funny.
Oh, you know what's funny? Rochelle, who had the tea parties, she says, I work in the food industry and I love when I make food and people compliment me on how nice it looks and how good it tasted. See, these are these games that we played, even when we were 7, very indicative of who we are at our roots. It really does tell you something.
Check out Ray. He's like, Clarence Carter. Oh, Tasha says, when you did that song Stroking, it made us. Were you there? So apparently Tasha was there that night. See, perfect example, like of how that actually did kind of go viral.
I've only seen it on Facebook, and I do laugh out loud during the whole thing. I watched the whole thing, and there's no new words in it. It's the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, man, that's one thing that I do enjoy and I've never been a good talent. I've never been a good singer. I've never tried to be a singer. So like going on stage was nothing more than just a fun thing for me, just something that a jester would do, right? It's never been true. Because I thought I was good at singing. I've never done stand-up comedy because I think I'm extra funny. I just do it because I enjoyed like having other people laugh with me. And that's just karaoke is just another way to get people, kind of get their hearts racing a little bit.
I'm wondering if anybody here in the comments actually has an answer to this question. What would be your role in the community pre-technology? Because I don't see any answers yet. I just see we're talking about that song Strokin', but you know what I would do? And I know this would satisfy me. I know I'd be happy with this. I would make baskets or pottery. And that's something that I still like to do today. In fact, when I was younger, I spent a long time just sitting by Lake Erie because I would be at my dad's house for, I don't know, a few hours every other weekend or so. And he lived in this old apartment building that overlooked the lake. And I was bored because it was a studio apartment, and I would just go down and sit by the lake. I'd go sit on one of those little concrete piers that goes out in the water, But before I did that, I would go gather some shells, and I would just sit there and kind of crush them up and imagine like how I would use them. How would I use them in jewelry? How would I use them? In fact, I do make jewelry these days, and that was what my beginning of really wanting to do that. But how could I use natural materials to build things? And that's also why making pottery today really is like that. And I like this term that tickles me because I really feel like, when something deeply satisfies you, whether it's a joke or a friendship or a certain food, it tickles you so deeply, And
I love that. I love that term too. I'm glad you said it that way because it really it sparked me like a tickle does to get an idea, and think about that. That's, what we want to do with this podcast, with you guys hanging out with us each week. We hope that over time you start to develop a sense of yearning for living your best life. And I know that that's a trendy way of putting it. I like to say more purposeful and intentional, fulfilled life, because think about what a tickle feels like, and think about how much you enjoy yourself when you're doing something that you truly love. And there's no pressure. You're not doing it because you got to pay the bills. You're not doing it because, you told your boss that you would. You're doing it because it feels pleasurable, like a tickle. That's the idea about, living an intentional life is deciding what you enjoy doing and then designing a lifestyle where you're making decisions on a regular basis that enable you to do the things that you enjoy more often. And I'm not saying that what you love to do, you should get paid for it. There's plenty to be said about not mixing business with pleasure. Like, for example, musicians. D-Rex, you're a very talented musician and you have the opportunity to get paid for it. You have all of the tools and resources that you need if you wanted to pursue a career in music. And as much as you love it, you've told me before that you don't love doing it to try to get paid for it.
No. Well, it's one of those jobs where you can work and not get paid. And then you can work one little bit and you get paid a lot. And I didn't like that unpredictability. It's like, no, I want to be able to work and get paid. I didn't like the unpredictability. I do still love to make music. In fact, I really, really wanted to write a song this morning, but I was like, no, I'm not getting back into that.
Hey guys, if you're in the comments here and you want D-Rex to help me write a Get Busy Living podcast theme song, give me a hell yeah in the comments. Come on.
You know
Can you
what?
imagine that?
We discussed this at some point. We decided that you needed some sort of like sea shanty pirate song, and I still think that you need that.
So maybe we can get Scooty Wells' wife to tap her resources over in Sweden, and if we can get a Swedish songwriter over there to help us.
Yeah, Max Martin. Yeah.
But isn't art like so? I know that all white people are the same. They say these days, but they're not. And when
they're
I
not.
looked into that,
I don't like pumpkin spice. I don't.
Caught me off guard. But no, going back to the sea shanty thing, like when I looked them up, the ones that I could understand that were like in English were all Irish or Scottish. Sorry. For those of you that are Irish and hate being called Scottish and vice versa. I don't remember exactly which one it was. But I would love to be able to.
Because all white people are the same.
I know, right? I'm just trying to prove myself wrong. No. No, but yeah, man. And I've talked to Brother Doug about it too. And you'd think with the musical talents that I have surrounding me that we'd have a theme song. Not that I don't love Strange Tang song. I love that song.
Yeah, but I mean, certainly couldn't hurt to have a sea shanty, right?
Lori said, "I hate pumpkin spice."
Yeah.
Hey, see, Pete said, "Yep, that means you got to help with the song." D-Rex.
Well, Tasha says here that her role in the community would be caring for children and spending most of her time with them. And yeah, you know what? That's an important role in a community. And there are so many ways to do that these days too, and including, to your own children, your own neighborhood and your own tribe. That's a super important role. Like, I'm sure that there's a lot of people where their role would be like, well, I would like to be the town poet. And, yeah, I mean, art's great, right? But it's like nothing helps more than just like raising the children or feeding the tribe. Being town poet is great, but there's nothing like the person that raises the children.
Something that's a hot topic these days is, obviously equality across the board in all ways. And equality of opportunity is something that I think is an extremely admirable goal that we should definitely be trying to have it so that anyone that wants the opportunity, regardless of whatever description they fit, should have an opportunity. So no question. And so part of the argument comes in with, especially when you want to include feminism into the topic and which, historically has been a movement towards women having the same opportunities as men. And unfortunately, the extreme radical sides of any argument are never going to be so palatable. But the unpalatable feminist argument is that there should be the same amount of opportunities for women as there are men. And then when you start talking about the things that women don't really want to do, like the real super dangerous jobs or the super risky jobs, it's different. And what gets lost in this whole argument or this whole debate or this whole front is how admirable it is for a woman to not have to worry about a career at all and to be able to focus on raising her children right, and how admirable it is for a man to not have to worry about cooking dinner at all and to be able to worry about making, putting the roof over the head and putting heat in the house, and having these roles. Now, I'm not saying that I'm anti any woman that doesn't want to do that and wants to go,
Yeah, I
fill
mean,
a
there's
different
always
role.
the people outside of the bell curve that want nothing to do with the role that you would think that they would. And I certainly want nothing to do with hunting or fishing. Like I'm in the bell curve of what women like to do. I'm solidly within that bell curve. But there's plenty of people who aren't, and we're not talking about you.
Right, exactly. I think that it is super admirable. I honestly, sometimes I kick myself. I had an offer when I was in my mid to late 20s to be a stay-at-home dad by a woman that could have afforded to let me stay at home. I know that. Well, last I heard, she was pretty well off, and she was well off back then. And we were as close as anyone I've ever been with, as far as close goes. And she offered, and I didn't want to do that because pride, speaking of last week's subject, the ego thing, wouldn't allow me to do that, to just stop working and focus on, being at home with children. She was like, "You're a
But
great
I
dad, and
don't
I'm
think
good at
that's
making."
pride. I don't think that's pride. I think it wasn't in your interest. Like
Well,
you were not interested in homemaking.
Well, at that stage, Lyric was still in elementary school, and my focus was providing for her. And I struggled, just like most teenage parents do, to get my feet up or feet underneath me when she was young. Money wasn't easy to come by back then, and I felt like it was the wrong thing to do, to be open to putting down my my will to work for one woman when I was failing to completely provide for the other two women that were in my life at that point, and that being Lyric's mom and Lyric. Now, obviously, Heather and I wasn't her support. She's always been a hard worker and always carried her own weight. But I did provide child support, and I felt like there was no way that I was going to, allow my then girlfriend to provide for me and provide for my other child just so that I could have a child with her. And I've thought about that since. And because I love being a dad so much, there's really not much I have ever loved more than spending time with my child. To this day, she's grown up and I still love it. There's nothing that makes my heart rate increase. There's nothing that fills me with joy than being around my child. And so having an opportunity to be a stay-at-home dad would be great for me. But at the same time, I'm 110 ready to go out and provide, and that's what's so wrong with what's happening today in society, is that there's so many single parent homes and so many households that there aren't both men in the household. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. Some of it's just ignorance and neglect on the part of the men. Some of it's flat out, you can't deal with that bitch, on the fault of the woman, with all due respect. And then, there's all kinds of different tragedies that cause one parent households to happen. But I really feel like the crumbling of families is a major reason that society is like really wobbling right now to get its wits about it, And that leads me to the last of our three crucial questions, which I think is the most, it's going to inspire the most reflection. And it's the one that I think can really help you get the finger on the pulse of what really makes you tick. And the question is, it says no money, no money problem. So if you didn't have a money problem, if you had complete and utter time freedom and money was no obstacle, meaning that you could afford to do whatever you wanted, how would you spend your time, D-Rex?
And I think this is part of what I was thinking about when you said that you had the chance to be a stay-at-home dad and you did not want to do that. And I really think it's because it's not in your nature to want to spend all day sourcing food, cooking it, homemaking, keeping things pristine, clean, organized. It's just not, that's not your focus. And that just means you're just like, you're not in the woman bell curve, okay? Which makes sense. You're not a woman.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, I thought I should point that out.
Can that be my
Um,
pronoun, not a woman?
but you choose whatever you want. So if there was no issue about thinking about making money, this is funny because this is a different question than what drives you as a 7-year-old. You know, it's not exactly the same thing. I think that I would spend most days cooking for people and gardening and probably riding my bike.
Well, I
And
got
I
good news
think
for you.
what's
We are
that?
we are going to kill this thing, and money soon enough will be no obstacle. And I love eating.
And I will be cooking, and yeah, I love cooking and sharing with people, and so I guess I'm a kindred spirit to Rochelle, and we don't have to cook with any pumpkin spice, no pumpkin spice.
Putting that on pause for a second, just going back to this, what Lori said. A good friend of mine and her husband chose to have him stay home and her work, and it worked for them. They had the same salary, and she knew she wasn't the stay-at-home type. It's
Yeah,
it's not a gender thing. It is completely
no.
a what makes you tick thing, and that's why it's such an interesting thing to pose to yourself: is what would you do if money were no obstacle? If you could stay home and she could go do outdoor things, or she stays home and you go do outdoor things, you're like, how would you spend your time? For me personally, I'm not. This is not a hypothetical question for me. This is a goal. This is a target, and this is what I do in life, and this is what I want you guys to figure out how to do as well. So I want you to keep on coming back to the Get Busy Living podcast because what we do is we decide what we want in our life, and then we make right decisions and move in that direction. So the direction that I'm moving is not having a money problem, so that I can do whatever I want with my time, like I was doing when I was in Bali. And what would I do with my time? I would travel, I would play my guitar, and I would learn to surf. And that is until I find some kids to hang out with, and I put the guitar down unless they want to learn. I love kids, man. I really do. Because they're so inquisitive and they listen. They ask questions and they listen to what you say. They answer.
Maybe they listen more when it's not your kid,
That's an interesting thing.
other people's kids. But yeah, I think that a lot of people think that their answer would be that they would just lay on a tropical beach all day. And I really don't think that's the honest to God truth. I don't think that's what most people would end up doing. I think that most people would find a little hobby and they would do that. And that's really what we're asking you. And oh yeah, Lori says, I definitely wouldn't be cooking, but I'd be eating and spending time with family and traveling. And yeah, traveling seems to be an important part of what makes people happy. So that's probably what a lot of people do. In fact, I'd like to see some more answers about this one. What would you do?
Sam said, I've had enough of the pumpkin spice latte hate.
Well, it's, you get what you get.
So think about that, though. We spend so much time thinking about how to get money, and we're conditioned to make our desires take a back seat to the money. So that's why so many of us do shit that we hate, but as long as we get paid for it, we'll do it. And there's so many of us that hate ourselves for the shit that we're willing to do for money, right? But this question is, what would you do if you weren't getting paid and you didn't need to get paid? And then figure it out, and then figure out a way to do it more. And I've been offering since day one of this podcast that if any of these topics ever befront you and you want somebody to talk to about it, that's what I'm here for, y'all. I hope that when I needed it most and you guys caught word that I needed your help, I hope that you thought to yourself, I'm going to chip in and help this guy because there's going to be a time when I think I might need him. And I hope that that time comes and that you guys will make use of me being around, because now that I'm back, I'm here to try to help anybody that needs help because I was helped. And what better way to help somebody than to help them figure out, what their purpose is, but not just what their purpose is, but then how to accomplish their life so that they're executing it on a manner where they're feeling fulfilled. And look, I'm not a clinical psychologist. I'm not a licensed financial planner. And I'm also not a clinical dietitian, but I have formal training in all three of those fields. And as long as you're not going to make me sign a non-disclosure statement, and I'm not have to worry about getting sued, we can talk all day long about where you are in your life, what your struggles are, and I'll let you expose yourself to and be vulnerable with me, and let's figure out really what's between you and whatever getting busy living is to you. That's why we're posing these questions, because we want you to think about what is stopping you from getting busy living, whatever that means to you.
Yeah, and ultimately, you want to find those things that really tickle you, because that's how you get busy living. It might not be as crazy as I need to go climb Mount Everest. It might be as simple as I need to cook and eat with friends,
And ride bikes, because we're going to be riding bikes, D-Rex.
Oh, I know it. I can't wait.
Yes.
So, oh gosh, speaking of riding bikes, I was riding my bike this past weekend, and I totally put my neck out of place doing this. But still, it's not going to stop me from riding bikes. But if I've been shifting around a lot this entire podcast, and I would just like to explain why. It's getting better, but it's not great. I just want to say that you were saying people can reach out and you can help them figure out they can get busy living. But I just wanted to say that, anybody can reach out at any time. This is our email address. You can reach out to say hi. You can reach out to say you want to be on this team, and you can figure out a way to be on this train with us. And you could just say, how can I help? Or I just wanted to say hello. I think you're a nice person. All of those are good reasons. All of those are valid reasons for using this email address. You might also email us and say, how can I donate? Or how can I spread the word? Things like that. So this is a very helpful email address.
Absolutely. Please make use of that email. If you know anybody out there that you think could benefit from stem cells, by all means, hit us up at nominations@thehswa.com. At this point right now, we are very much in the development stage. And so right now we're just trying to gather team members, looking for more talent and more people to put their hand in the pile so that we can start to put it together a higher quality production for you guys. And as this thing grows and goes, we want to be able to have all of the revenues that we generate are going to be redistributed back into the audience in some way, shape, or form, whether it's via people that you've nominated that can benefit from stem cell therapies, whether it's being able to join us on the Get Busy Living Project Epic Adventures. We eventually want to get to the point where we have enough funding where we can pull winners to come with us once a month, or we can pay for other people to get their stem cell treatments. And then eventually the goal is in the end to throw the huge party and everybody benefits from it. So please, by all means, don't hesitate to hit us up in any way, shape, or form. There's hswa.org. There's gitbuzylivin.com. Guys, we're not hard to get a hold of, and we're here for you. I'm speaking about me, myself, and I. And I know, D-Rex, you got my back, but I'm not volunteering your time, but I am volunteering mine. I'm telling you, anytime you guys need anything, man, I could not tell you how much I appreciate you guys for helping me have a second lease on life. D-Rex, thank you so much for coming and doing this with me every single week. Let's go ahead and thank these guys. Sam, thanks for coming. Ray,
oh yeah, and
appreciate
look
you.
who just showed up. It's Schwoy Boy.
Schwoy Boy's in the house. Oh, check him out.
Well, we're happy you're here too. And you know what? Would you like to speak for a second on this nominations email address? It's at the bottom, because this is how we met Schaefer, and you said you had a little video you wanted to show.
Yeah, I did. But I promised that I would try to keep this at an hour, and damn it, I didn't have time to get that prepared. So we want to try to keep this at an hour so that you guys know that that when you sign up to be a part of the audience, that we're not going to drag it on. So we're a little bit over time now. Just come back. We're here every Thursday. We've got some really cool guests coming up in April. We're going to be in Florida for the Project 55, month number 8. Going to go canoeing down Blackwater River. So come back each week and catch up to speed with what we got going on. We're going to show you a little bit more about Schaefer. We're going to tell you a little bit more about the book, about the Adventurous Alaska. And guys, every single Thursday we do it again. D-Rex, thank you so much. Always remember, we're all in this together. Always remember, no matter the weather, whether sunshine or rain, there's no joy without pain. Always remember, we're all in this together. Can I get a hell yeah?
Hell yeah.
You can see it when you see me, but you gotta believe me. Ain't nothing coming easy my way. I know I'm fucking weird, but it's fucking work.